has assigned to be done, and I'm going to be very specific. The leadership of a Muslim community cannot be given to a female imam. So what has happened is that now, since there is a female imam, some daughter of mine thought that they're going to lead me in the salah. Okay, this is the type of thing. I mean, like, yeah, he's in Pakistan, almost, protected and sealed. How he would give directives. Like, he would say one thing, and then he's in Pakistan, like, that's not what he said. He said this, and this. So that used to actually protect. But once, he asked to give bayah to a female imam. I mean, that really, I don't know. It's a deep thing, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said, for that not to be the case, never was it in the time of the rightfully guided Khalifas. There was never a time when a prophet was passing away and he gave, the wife his reins and told. So this is quite different. This is something new. He could not have gotten that. I mean, you'll have to show me where in the Quran that he has the right to do that, or where, in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But do you understand that though? Or do you think it's right?
I understand what he did.
Okay.
But Shah didn't make Sheikh Nura. He didn't make her imam of the Jamaat. She's his successor of the Tariqah.
And that's
not imam of the Jamaat.
And not the imam of the Jamaat. She
no,
is a successor.
Not the imam of the Jamaat. We have a sure council that's taken until Shah Sahib, who he decides is going to be his successor, becomes available to do that. Then right now, the Shura Council, is maintaining the direction of the Jamaat. Through the council, of course, of Sheikh Nura.
So who decides who's going to be the next leader of the Jamaat?
Shah Sahib decided that already.
He already decided who's going to be the leader of the Jamaat. So the leader of the Jamaat is different from the Shura Council.
Yes.
And the Shura Council is different from Nur.
Yes, the Shura Council is taking direction, inshallah, spiritual direction from Sheikh Nur. She's a Sheikh of the Tariqah.
Okay.
She's not the imam. She's not the imam of the Jamaat. She doesn't lead the salat.
No, I understand.
She doesn't do the Juma Kubas and all this
Right.
stuff.
No, she's not the imam, but she's taken over the tariqah from her husband.
Yes.
Okay, and this you would say this is based on what tariqah? Qadri done this before? Is this a Qadri thing?
I've seen many tariqahs where the lady that have lady sheikhs, who lead the Jamaat in different spiritual activities and stuff.
Right.
I mean, like that. I mean, that's pretty common through the Islamic history of the tariqahs.
Fair enough. I mean, we can revisit the idea of some tariqahs having a sheikha, how they got it is a different, we can revisit that. But what I'm trying to get at is, like, you have a Jamaat here. This is a Jamaat that is not taking any spiritual directives from any other tariqah. The whole Jamaat is following the tariqah of a sheikh. And this sheikh has left this spiritual guidance to his wife. And you think, and we African American Jamaat, and this whole Jamaat is following the spiritual guidance of his widow. And I urge you to look at leadership in Islam. What you have mentioned does not serve leadership in Islam. It serves a different purpose, but not that. If you look at how leadership is even set in the model of leadership, this is out. And the tariqah, strangely, I should be the last one to tell you of the tariqah upbringing that I've had. I'm very familiar with tariqah. I went and studied tariqah specifically well enough to know that this is really something new. This is something that is created. This is an invention. This is the way I'm seeing it. And then if I look at, the evidence that is being brought as to how whatever jihad campaign, and how it was waged. When I study jihad, I don't see that in jihad myself, but I'm going to leave that alone because I'm not an expert in jihad, right? But nevertheless, I'm going to say specifically, this model, you have a Shura Council. Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab put a Shura Council in place to elect a leader. You have now a Shura Council. Then this Shura Council is taking guidance from, her. And then you actually have a leader that's going to emerge somewhere along the line after this. Then if you look at, unfortunately, we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to leave this earth on good terms and have clear understanding of inheritance. Because now, unfortunately, we got wind of the court case, people claiming, his descendants claiming that they're not getting their due share. This is not a example that we, just as I would say when he couldn't come here, I said this was not an example I wanted for these children. Our children should be able to come freely and leave freely, no matter what. Yes, we involved in jihad now, da'wah jihad, big time, but we go and come. Ever since, it does not matter. This is our job. So, and look, I'm saying one thing, you're saying something else. Use the Quran to judge between us. This is why the Quran is here, And I think that a lot of people who should have better guidance do not have it because they're not looking into the Quran for it. They're not looking at the examples that the Quran set. I think it's also very strange that the Quran is mentioned, Allah is mentioned, and we bring up other people. It doesn't matter who it is. That's just the way, I'm embedded in that fully now. This has been my career for the past however many years, and it would have been different if there was, a clear recitation of the Quran. The English was also, it would have been different if he was here actually instead of being in Pakistan all those years. Because they took away the school, the Hafiz building, they took that away. And they said Shah Sahib endorsed it. It was easy for everybody to say that no problem. See? But now it's like.
Listen, I don't know how true that is. So I feel the Shah Sahib
I'm not saying I'm not saying that's what happened. But what I'm saying is that he would give directives and people would do whatever it is that they wanted out of them and then be like he said it. This is what he said. So that, over a period of time, you can agree. Well, if you don't agree, that's fine. But just look into Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab, when he assigned governors, they had to adhere, or else they would be replaced.
Believe me, you don't know how many times I replaced jokers.
No,
I mean? And I never was in administration, but I was close to a lot of elder brothers who were in administration. So I've had that kind of closeness, saying affiliation, saying with them, to know that, brothers and sisters, brothers as well as sisters who are in charge of different things, man, have done some deep stuff. You know what I'm saying? And Shah Sahib dealt with his administration and with their infractions the way he saw fit. You know what I mean? And it wasn't public. It wasn't necessarily public privy, information. How Shah Sahib dealt with that. But anytime something was brought out to the public, and it had to be dealt publicly, Shah Sahib, admonished those administrators publicly, dismissed them. They had to give apologies, or they were sat down, and somebody put in their place. This is.
Let me ask you, and I agree.
It was a kind of a hard job.
I agree with you. On that. I want to actually leave that point alone. I want to ask you specifically, what was Shah Sahib's mission? What exactly was it?
To teach us to be lovers of Allah and His Rasul, to practice the Deen.
Okay.
To prepare to be people of the Akhirah.
So this mission as you said, was to teach you to be lovers of Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to prepare of the akhirah. That was it.
I mean, to just, that's the gist of it. But all in between that, to build a community,
Okay.
to give dawah,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, to live a upright, honorable lifestyle, in the manner of Rasulullah
Sallallahu alaihi
sallallahu
wasallam. Now,
you know,
and it's true.
to be to get off welfare, to get out of the cities, to have our own property, to be independent, to be proud of ourselves, to know that our ancestors, made dua for us to be in the position that we were in.
Okay.
You know?
Where now, it sounds very good, but where exactly can this information be retrieved? Like exactly what you said. Where
From
can
those
it
who
be-
heard it.
from those
From
who heard
those who heard it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and on all Shah's tapes, all the retreats that were given, all the tapes that he's made, and him instructing us, whether it was when he was here in person or when on his tapes, via media, it all instructed us to do those kind of honorable things.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what tape that anybody can say anything other than that. And what's so funny about this officer was that a lot of these people whose names you mentioned, like Abu Muhammad, Musa, et cetera, all these guys, saying, were in leadership position until they got sat down for infractions. They were so. I mean, you ask anybody, you ask any elder brothers or some of the deep stuff that they did to some of the people in the community.
No, don't get me wrong.
They were guilty of some of the most heinous crimes, out there, which is why Rashad had to got rid of them.
No, I'm still trying to stick to his mission. And you said his mission was to love Allah, love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and prepare for the akhirah. This is what his mission was to do Jamaat, correct?
And yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that lead to that.
Okay, no
that
problem.
help build that. But that's the foundation.
No problem. In the amount of years that he was with the Jamaat, which is like 40 plus.
Sorry. Go out. Go. I'm sorry, obviously my grandson is trying to tear the place up.
But let's be realistic. Let's just be honest about what you said. His mission was. Do you feel that he accomplished that mission?
Yeah, I do. I really do. Maybe not. It ain't like. Listen, I can see why. From the American viewpoint, why none of the Talibs here succeeded his mission. Because I don't think we know that we've actually became the true Talib Siddiqs that we need to be in order to be in that position.
Okay, so as far as American standards,
from a Tariqa standpoint, but we have now younger scholars. We have people going to school. We have people who have learned the Arabic language. You know what I mean? You go around the country. You know how hard it is for Americans to learn another language.
No, I was there, but what I guess we're toggling back and forth about what the mission is and how far in the mission he actually got. But you answer the question for you. You're saying that he did fulfill the mission, but upon American standards, he did not fulfill the mission. Is that a fair assessment or no? Did I get that right?
What I'm saying is that Shah Sahib gave us the tools. He gave us the means, the ways, the leadership in order to try to earn that and try to gain those heights in nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the nearest to the way Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sahaba Kareem, but the success of it is in the qadr of Allah Ta'ala. Allah decides, how successful it's going to be. Allah says He doesn't ask us to make Muslims, but our job is to give the clear message. Shah Sahib gave the clear message. He did what he could do. Of course, I know he felt bad about some of the crimes that were being committed in Jamaat. about some of the errors that some of his talibs and talibas had. I'm sure he felt bad about it. He said a number of times that he felt like he couldn't go back to Allah because he had to straighten a lot of things out.
No, but
look how long Shah Sahib lived and how long, he suffered in his medical condition, trying to hold on to make things, try to get things right. But they say that the qadr belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has the results in his hands.
Okay.
How successful we were with the mission that Shah Sahib had.
I
Shah Sahib just did his job.
I get you. I mean, I wasn't trying to ask if you feel like he did his job, but I was just trying to see the level of success that you thought that there was in the Jamaat as a result of.
I think we're a lot better off when we started than when we started. I know we're a lot better off when we started. Even if it's only because we have our own property. Even if it's only one of our children became Hafiz.
No,
we have a number of Hafiz in the Jamaat now because of Shah Sahib's direction.
But we
have quite a few brothers who went to Azhar and ladies who went to Azhar and has done well.
No, I don't.
We got brothers and sisters over there right now.
No, I don't disagree with the fact that there are people at Azhar, or that's not what. Again, it's like like he had a mission. You said that he came and he delivered his message for this mission to be done. And now, how far along in the mission are we? Or, is the Jamaat because of his leadership or his guidance? And, when you say that he came his mission was to teach people how to love Allah, how to love Prophet ﷺ, and prepare ourselves for the Akhirah, that's a very simple mission in the way Allah communicated it in the Quran. Like, there is nothing complex about delivering that message, particularly. Do you see it? Right. So there is nothing there. Now, going forward, you say that you were better off than how you had started because you earned land and you bought land and secured land. But as far as buying land and securing land, hasn't that been done before Shah Sahib? In all respect, that's not something that he initiated himself. Like, we've been buying and selling land before Shah Sahib.
He did direct that. He did direct us to get out of the city, to sell our property in the city, and to buy the property of state New York. That was our first property. That was under his direction.
But what I'm
there have been other Muslims in the country who have done that, but very minimal. And they want successful either.
Right. So what I'm saying is that
they want successful either.
So that particular point, we've done it before. We as African American or Indigenous American, we've bought property before Shah Sahib.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
never had a functional, ongoing, long-term functional community. None of those Jamaats. Izzadeen Village was one of the first ones. None of them Jamaats, that lasted. I met some of the brothers from those little places.
Mm-hmm.
None of them lasted. Our Jamaat has been holding on to our properties, trying to do our best with even with all the fitna, all the politics. For over 30 years, we've been holding our properties and trying to teach our children the proper way.
But
and there's been a lot of errors. There's been a lot of trial. There's been a lot of confusion, a lot of politics, but we're still here. By Allah's grace.
Alhamdulillah. But Brother Muhammad Sadiq, you do say that you held on to all the properties, but that's not accurate because California and Colorado were lost, right?
Oh, that's true. That's true. But for the most part,
okay.
Let me say, maybe I should say for the most part.
For the most part, right. So, and I think that, I think a lot, and I don't want for our emotions to get too drawn out because it's really going to make difficult vision. But I think there should be, an examination as to what his mission was and what of that has succeeded. Because from the looks of things, what has been noted is that, yes, he did, he bought properties or encouraged the buying of properties, but that was already something that had been initiated prior to him coming during the Darul Islam movement or whatever the case may be. And B, that he was actually in Pakistan assigning, these type of activities to it actually made him rich. It made him rich, and people walking around those lands barefooted. This is the narration that is coming to light. He assigned these type of bombings. He assigned these type of assassinations. He assigned these type of fraudulent actions where people were getting money from welfare as well as insurance on workman's comp, and he was making a good salary off of that, as well as indulgences that people were sending him from their own earnings. So this is what we're getting at. Maybe his mission.
I don't believe that's
I'm
true.
just letting
I don't
you.
believe that's true.
Okay.
I don't believe that's true. Shasta made everybody get off of welfare.
Okay. So it wasn't the welfare, but the workman's comp. That you think there was some cases of workman comps that he got paid off of?
I don't, that sounds more like something brothers did, because that was our forte before Shasta came.
It was
Utilizing welfare, workman's comp, any kind of hustle against the government, we thought was allowed. That was our mindset. That was our mindset. You know what I mean? If the Kufa, as much as they were stealing from us and oppressing us, we felt that we had a right to utilize the welfare, workman's compensation, anything else that
you could take advantage of.
Take advantage of, to survive in the economy. We would do it.
The percentage.
Shasta discouraged. Shasta said, "Get off of that." Shasta made us get away from that. Go to school. Learn to be professionals. Do not step no welfare. Send your women down to the welfare. Shasta made us get rid of that crap. So any continuance of that was brothers disobeying Shasta. Trying to I don't know, bring into fruition whatever they was trying to accomplish monetarily.
Do you?
But that wasn't all.
How do you?
Nothing can prove that.
Right. No, I actually, I'm just letting you know what the picture, because it did come across the media, but I actually have the question about how much was Shah Sab's net worth as he passed away that is being refuted.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know that. Shah Sab, who? That's nobody. That's really not public information.
I don't know. I mean, because everybody's paying percentages. My family's been paying percentage, so people do have the right to know where their percentage is going. So how much?
Shasta told us where Shasta said that he whatever he was involved in and helping the Muslims around the world, Pakistan, India, America, Africa, wherever. Saying that's where the money went to Shasta's mission. Saying did he have a book and say, okay, we're spending $5 on this today, $10 on this, $100,000 on that, and I'm giving
and again,
the Afghan
right.
money? No.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you, 100%. What I'm saying in that reference, that is from those R2F boys, right? So they're the ones who have that. But again, that's not really my main concern. My main concern was the fact that he could not come over here to lead this Jama'ah in person, as well as the fact that he could not, recite the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is our mission. So our mission differed with his mission that did not have to do with the application of the Quran. And that's how we find it.
What do you mean you couldn't recite the words? What do you mean you couldn't recite the words of the
Quran? I'm gonna send you a video where we're going through it. That would help better understand, because it's really not just something I'd be able to say over the phone. But that's big. I mean, you're a Muslim, you're a sheikh, you have the Quran. If you don't have the Quran, then you're not sheikh to us. You have to have Quran. Not the fact that you have to be a hafiz or a qari, but when you're reciting the Quran, you have to recite Quran. If it's not what the Quran that was revealed, then you're not reciting Quran, you're reciting something else.
Yeah, well, I don't know any instance where Shasta didn't recite. He might not recite, I guess, with the makhraj or the.
Well, that's what Quran is. You can, if you're reciting without makhraj, then you're not reciting Quran. That's part of tajweed. So the tajweed is to recite the Quran as it was revealed. That means including makhraj. If you cannot do that, then you cannot lead us in salah.
I don't know how correct that is. I mean, I never stood it.
It's no problem. I mean, just imagine. I mean, I'm not going to give you like hypotheticals onto why it is correct. I will look up, specific, so that you will know that it did not come from just, my own person, and then you can decide from there. But
I mean, there's a lot of brothers like we Khalifa Yahya Rahmatullah, who was the imam of the moon before Shah, before we all took Shah. Khalifa Yahya never said that Shah recited Quran improperly, and he was a student of the Quran. You know, there was a few brothers, you know, saying who were really proficient in reciting the Quran in all Islam.
What I'm trying to understand now, I'm really trying to get a better understanding. You're telling me about Khalifa Yahya, who said, Rahmatullahi alayhi, who said something, who did not say what is obvious today. And I am supposed to jump on the bandwagon for that. I think because I'm just
making a statement. You don't have to.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying, the statement, it does carry meaning. I have the Quran with me, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. I didn't just pick up a book and say, here, the Quran. But I know, looking at him, reading, he does not know how to recite Quran. I don't need to go back 40 years to figure out if Khalifa Yahya, whoever else said so or not. And that's just a plain, simple matter of the situation. I don't understand why we're trying to bring things to measure them against the Quran when it should be opposite. You know? The Quran, this is the word of Allah. This is the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. We all know that. So why should we try and measure it against, or why should we try and measure other things against it when you know it came from Allah? I mean, it's just a sad.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Prophet Saab. Because this is the main crux for me. If Shah Saab if what you say is Shah Saab didn't recite the Quran properly, what interpretation that Shah Saab gave of whatever ayat he was reading? What interpretation was incorrect? What did he say that was haram about the Quran? Okay. How did he misrepresent the Holy Quran?
So the way it works is this: when you say you have Quran, you recite the Quran, and this is Quran. Nobody's going to dispute. You have Quran, you recited the Quran, you have Quran. But when you cannot even recite the Quran, you're going to tell me about meaning? It's like you need to go from stage 1 to stage 2. You cannot even get by stage 1, and you want me to explore stage 2?
No, I'm saying his interpretation of whatever he recited was incorrect.
I'm not going, like, interpretations, I have not personally been too keen on it because of what I just told you. There's no recitation. There's no Quran. What are you going to interpret if you're not reciting the Quran? This is simple. If you're not reciting, if you're not speaking English, in other words, what English explanation can you give me? It's that simple. Allah made this Quran easy and clear for us. And I do not understand why people want to stubbornly make it difficult. And I tell those boys, those R2F, I say, go and learn the Quran. You all do not know what you're talking about. Go and learn the Quran. People like to take the book here. No, go study, go learn. It's simple. Put time into studying it, practicing it, understanding the history behind it. How does it work today? You don't know that. And you're going to go talk about who somebody doesn't have? MashaAllah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. I have to wrap it up, inshallah. I apologize if I've,